Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'm about to get to the truth about Brady and Belichick from a special guest who watched it all unfold.
And I'm Colin Cowherd. You know I love LeBron, but there is one thing that worries me, despite his incredible game last night heading into the playoffs. Speak for yourself. Starts now on a Tuesday.
What are you worried about?
It's a little thing.
His beard? What? His hairline? What? All right. Hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and former NBA All-Star Kenyon Martin. Let's start in Cleveland, where LeBron went off last night, putting up 40 points and a triple-double on the Greek Freak in a win over the Milwaukee Bucks. With that performance, LeBron became the third oldest player in NBA history to notch a 40-point triple-double. Another clear sign that despite his age, he isn't slowing down. Just ask Giannis.
I was talking to myself when I was taking the shower, right? And I was like, okay, what did I did wrong today, guarding LeBron? Because he's the first player that ever scored 40 on me that easy. It's hard. The guy's the guy that can drive the ball, can shoot the ball, especially late in his career. Now he can shoot the ball amazing. He's getting his teammates in the right spot. He's the best player in the world. It's not simple.
All right, LeBron is actually on track to play all 82 games for the first time in his career, but that might not be a good thing. LeBron has only won titles in years he's played fewer than 3,000 minutes. This year he's on pace to play 3,042.
Wow.
Cowherd, are you concerned about LeBron's workload heading into the playoffs?
Just a little bit. You know, if a car has 30,000 miles, you don't know if it's off-road, it's freeway driving, it's city driving. This is a lot of miles, not just minutes. You got a coach thing. They've rebooted the roster. There's been a lot of press stuff. I think you've seen him snap at a coach. It's not your typical LeBron season. It's been a different season.
You act like LeBron's a Hyundai. He's a Mercedes. Mercedes are meant to go for 200,000 miles.
Yeah. Volvo. He's never won a title when he's played over 3,000 minutes, and he's only gotten to 2 finals with over 3,000 minutes. Forget the 15 years. Man, with these NBA guys, I'm sorry, but you start going to 7 straight finals, that's another season.
Well, look, if LeBron doesn't make the finals, it won't be about minutes. If he doesn't win a title, it won't be about minutes. It'll be that Toronto is actually pretty good and got a hold of them in the Eastern Conference, and or they're going to meet a Rockets team that's really on a nice ascent, or a Golden State team that's, you know, a historic champion. And so I don't think it'll be about minutes. LeBron, again, is in control of his minutes. He's playing 37 minutes a game, which I think is like the third fewest he's played in his career. I think his workload's fine.
Yeah, I'm with Jason on this. I mean, let's look, what LeBron's doing is phenomenal. In your 15th year, I mean, he looks like he's in his 4th year flying through the air dunking. But let's not act like this is completely unprecedented. Kobe Bryant in his 16th and 17th years averaged 38 minutes a game, which is more than LeBron's doing now.
Was that million or minutes, you said?
Michael Jordan, in his 15th season, he was 39 and then turned 40 years old. He averaged 38 minutes a game, played all 82. So this is not that out of the ordinary. And like you said, look, LeBron's got all the science, all the doctors. He's got his personal trainer. He's got his personal masseuse. He's got everything at his disposal, a hyperbaric chamber, to tell him how his body feels and when it's ready. If he were concerned about this, I don't think he'd put the playoffs in jeopardy for the regular season. So I don't think it'll be an issue.
It won't be an issue, but I think he knows, like you said, he knows his body. He knows what he can and can't do at this juncture of his career, better than anybody. But I just look at, like you said, it's going to be a taller task going into the playoffs, Golden State or Houston, whoever it might be. I don't think Toronto has enough to beat them in the East, just my opinion. I think it's mental edge that he has above Boston and Toronto. But moving forward, that's a lot of minutes, a lot of games, like a lot of wear and tear. But
I think this is a choice, though. If LeBron didn't want to play all these minutes,
he ain't got
LeBron,
no choice. They wouldn't be in the playoffs.
But again, LeBron.
You don't think he could? He couldn't say, "Look,
cut it back to
33 minutes a game."
No.
No.
Bad as they are defensively.
Well, he ain't helping.
No. But I'm saying, so therefore, scoring and assist, he needs to be just his presence on the floor needs to be out there
See, I don't
for them
think
other 6-7 minutes of the game.
I don't think it's about minutes. It's about him choosing to play all 82. He's playing a manageable number of minutes. He's just playing every game, and that's a choice. He has heard people like me say, hey, man, you know, Jordan played 82 like 6, 7, 8 times in his career. You've never done it. And again, I went through there's a whole list of all-time greats that played 82. LeBron wants to put that on his resume. I played 82.
Because it's been by, like I said, it's been by choice for him to sit out.
Yes.
Because of injuries and other things that other players historically have probably went through. For the next season, be like, okay, I want to play all 82. But it's been his choice at the end of the seasons to rest the last few games, which I think he's in position to do that again if they seeding doesn't change, if they're not fighting for the first seed or second. Then if they stuck in that third spot, I can see him.
I think he's
the
got to
last
play
few
just
years
for chemistry reasons.
I don't think so. Not,
I would say
not
this,
April
though.
17th.
I'd like to see him get rest, but I do wonder. It's not as taxing a league. It's more of a cardio league now.
I'm with you.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, no, the rules have benefited him.
There's
no, the
that's
rules.
exactly
it's the rules.
right.
The rules have benefited him.
So I do think it's easier to play now.
Hi, it's Colin Cowherd. You're listening to the Speak for Yourself podcast, and this show is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings loves a Cinderella story, the tale of the underdog, the unexpected, and by their unexpected nature, you just can't predict when one's going to happen. It makes them great, also makes them frustrating, because at any moment, you could miss that Cinderella sighting. Unless you're about spending March Madness at B-Dubs, the official hangout for NCAA March Madness. Here, you'll catch every second of every game. You'll be able to look back, tell the story of the team you watch climb their way from the low seed to the championship, but only if you go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Now, back to the show.
Let's move to the Thunder, who are in Boston tonight. That's a good game. Russ, PG, and company looking for their 7th straight win. OKC has been very up and down this year. They kind of figured things out lately, going 6-0 since they added Corey Brewer to the lineup, which has vaulted them into 4th place in the crowded West. Was that
No.
sarcasm?
No.
Whitlock, you think the Thunder are a real threat?
I think against the top competition, they elevate their play and play better. I think, and these guys are laughing, Corey Brewer added to the lineup has clearly added something during this stretch. The guy's hitting like a career high number of three-point percentage. He can run with Westbrook. I think finally Billy Donovan has made a move that actually worked and improved the team. The coach finally earned his money.
Couldn't I make the argument? Portland hasn't lost in a month and a half. Utah hasn't lost in a month. Oklahoma City's on fire. Man, we got 2 things happening. Some of the seeds are locked up, and some teams are tanking. You're not getting the same effort.
So you're not, why I'm laughing is you're hating against my guy again.
Westbrook.
Why? It just can't be that Russ decided to turn this switch on and be like, okay, I need to get back to where I was playing last year. That's what he's doing.
They're scoring like
5 straight
120 a
triple-doubles.
night.
Like, he made his mind up as, like, it's time. And I think adding Corey Brewer, he helped, but it's Brody, in my opinion.
Beyond that, you said it. Remember, early in the season through November, Russell was deferring and trying to get Paul and Melo and all these guys in the offense. Come December, they were like, look, be Russ.
Yes.
Do your thing. Since that point, since the start of December, they are playing at a 55-win pace. Okay, so this team is legit. They won the last 6, you're right. And Brewer helps because when they lost Robertson, remember they went through a lull and a slump when they lost Robertson because of his defense. Brewer can give you close to that. He's not as good as Robertson now and at this age. He's a very good defender, though, but he can shoot.
Better shooter.
And that's the thing. Robertson, it was like playing 4-on-5 offensively. Now you have another shooter who can hit threes, can run the floor. I think Golden State and Houston are the clear favorites. But if one of them falters, Golden State because of injuries, Houston because they just don't have it because we've seen Chris and James struggle in the playoffs, I think OKC will be that 3rd team in the West.
Yeah, they I don't think no team wants to face them besides Houston and Golden State. Like, with the way they playing and the power that they have, it's like, I
agree with you that no one wants to see them because the fear is that at some point they will figure it out because I still think they play dumb. I still think they don't get enough consistently out of Steven Adams, who I think is a real force and could be in this league playing in a different situation. Again, I think Corey Brewer has added something. What they're doing, well, Paul George is out of there because the way Russ is playing right now, the way Paul George
think
has
no matter
to play,
how far they
dude,
go.
he is
Yeah.
shooting, to your point, Paul George is shooting 5 times less a game in the last month.
Yes.
I mean, by the way, Westbrook's
winning.
great.
Yeah,
He's not
this is it.
staying there.
They winning.
Again, I think he'll tolerate that this year, but he's not in this league to shoot 12 times a game or 13 times a game.
I would say this. If they go deep, let's say they get to the conference finals, because I think there's a chance he'd stay. I think if they go out early, he's definitely gone. But look, if he goes to the Lakers, he's not going to be shooting 20 shots a game in L.A. either, because those young kids are coming. And Brandon
And they're not
Ingram
gonna
and
be in
some of
the
the others
playoffs
could
neither.
be as good as him. Well, if
And
he
they not
goes by himself.
They're not going to be in the playoffs next
You
year.
don't think they make it with George?
They need more than just
They
Paul
close
George.
now.
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Let me tell you something. 13 shots in Oklahoma City is like getting 6 shots with the Lakers. When you live in OKC, and it's like you only get to pull the trigger 13
But you're
times.
winning, man.
That
You
ain't
just-
fun. You can play in the NBA Finals, you can play it all, but 13 shots in Oklahoma City?
I think that's an
but if you
aberration.
win, I think that if you
he'll. Most of the season, his shots have been up.
If
It's
again,
been about
if-
round 17.
I understand, but Westbrook is now playing like Westbrook, and again, Steven Adams. I think they figured out. Westbrook probably figured out. Steven Adams is more reliable. Dump it in here to him. He's gonna make 70% of his shots. I don't know if he's ever gonna get those shots back in OKC, particularly with them having success. And when you go to Toronto on the road and win.
That's a good team.
Yeah, and I think my man Adams went 10 of 13 from the field. Westbrook shot a great percent. I just don't know. Paul George, he's house hunting someplace else.
I agree.
I think they're.
Well, he got a house here already, and he lives in Oklahoma City. So,
We're joined now by the director of Time vs. Time and the co-founder of Religion of Sports, filmmaker Gotham Chopra. Thank you for joining us. All right, who followed Tom Brady all season up to and including the Patriots' crushing Super Bowl loss leading up to the big game. The biggest story in New England this year was the rift between Brady and Belichick, which was reportedly driven by Brady's relationship with trainer Alex Guerrero, who was all over this Time vs. Time deal. Gotham, did you notice tension between Brady and Belichick?
Well, as you'll see, I mean, Coach Belichick's not in the documentary.
That's tension.
I also don't have the context. I've been a fan for a long time, but I've never clearly been this close to Tom or the team. So, my perspective is all one-sided. I mean, what I followed was Tom, and Tom is super close to Alex. Alex is not only, I would say, a big part of his physical regimen, but his mental and emotional. I mean, all these things, as you see through the doc, go into how he preps. And so, certainly I think there's an intensity to the season, and I think there was more scrutiny. There were cameras, obviously. But my guess is it's not too dissimilar than prior seasons.
Did you try to get access with Belichick and was declined?
No. I mean, look, first of all, I'd say 80% of this was filmed during the off season. As you see, we're in China, we're in Montana, we're in Costa Rica, we're in all these places that Tom is. And then during the season, it was more like it was a lot of in his house, in his car, getting to the stadium. And then, hey, I get it, the Patriots way. And the only person I would say who's more sensitive than me to that was Tom. Hey, there's going to be no cameras in the locker room. There's no boom mics. There's none of this, no distractions.
Well, one more. Was there never a time when, just Belichick just called him? Because we saw phone calls between Tom and other people. They don't call, they don't talk on the phone? They don't
Well, I mean,
text?
I can't, first of all, I'm not 24/7, but yeah, no, when Tom's got something he's thinking about the offense or whatever, you see him. He calls Josh, or he calls Gronk, or he calls Danny, or Brandon Cooks. That's kind of his process. And so, yeah, I mean, I followed him where it went, but I didn't, the Patriots were supportive. The Patriots were issuing credentials, to get in and out of the stadium, onto the field, all that sort of stuff. But, it was pretty purposeful and mindful to not get in the way of the season.
Well, I mean, during your documentary, there was the Alex Guerrero situation where his access was limited or retracted. How did that land? I mean, Tom's about his body. That was the guy that has reshaped his body. How did that land?
I mean, he's remarkable at being able to compartmentalize. And so, okay, now we're dealing with this situation. It's not going to stop me from doing what I do. And, so we'll just find a different place to do it, which he did, and he's never going to get off of his process. And so that's, what he did. And I think the season brings to it a certain structure, and the postseason it even becomes more hyper and like everybody gets focused, so they all get aligned. I think the off season now you got to like recalibrate, you got to take some time, then you got to like circle the wagons and get back together and figure out like, okay, next season. And I think that's probably where Tom and the coach again is. I strong personalities on all sides of this thing. Tom's a friend, Tom's a partner in a way, so I see it from his side. But this is guys who are super successful for a sustained amount of time, who probably don't see eye to eye on everything. Again, we're talking about it because this season, because of cameras and documentaries and social media and all that stuff. But they've been doing this for 18 years and doing it really well.
I look at that hand injury of Tom's and how bad that cut was.
Wow.
And I think there had to be a moment where Tom was like, damn, I may not play.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, he FaceTimed me the night that happened, and he showed me, and I was like, how are you at home? Like, how are you not in an emergency room? What is that? Like, it was a huge gash, And then I think it was, but again, Tom's he's a creature of habit, and he really trusts Alex again. And Alex kind of not only physically led him through, but mentally. Hey, it's going to be fine. Let's see where we are tomorrow. Then let's do this. And then Tom was doing stuff like acupuncture. I mean, he's not a guy who just he really thinks broadly. And this is something that I think has really evolved over time, where he's willing to try new things and really, and so by Saturday, by the time the game came, I mean, he was confident.
Jason has mentioned this many times, that Giselle has a greater influence than most of us think. Amazing, since he's single and would know the least about it, but he's probably been the most accurate. Do you sense that Giselle is having an impact on perhaps shrinking the days left in the NFL for him?
I don't know that. Look, Tom ultimately, and they are a great couple, and they're pretty relatable actually. And she's quite said I'm never going to be the reason that you walk away from the game, because I'm not going to be that woman 5 years from now when you're thinking like, maybe I should have hung around for another season or two, or I could have won. I don't want you looking at me and thinking you're the reason I didn't. I mean, I relate to that. So, I think she's, she wants, there's a lot of stuff going on in their lives. They got growing kids. She's very ambitious professionally. She's, a humanitarian, a philanthropist, all these things she wants to do. But I think she also understands he loves this thing more than anything. And
you don't sense friction at all about that retirement thing?
I think it's like a never-ending debate, like they're sort of talking about it constantly, but I don't think she's pushing him to do something he doesn't want to do.
Don't give us the obvious answer, so I'm going to push you a little bit here, but you're a Patriots fan, you're a Boston sports fan, and you get behind the curtain of arguably the greatest Boston athlete of all time. Did he exceed your expectations, or was Tom about what you expected? Did you leave this process like, my God, I thought I would like Tom Brady, but man, do I respect him. How did Tom come across?
I mean, people ask me all the time, what's the thing that surprises you the most? And I'm like, all of it. All of it, that he was willing to do it. And I had to pinch myself, because I do have to separate. There's the fan in me that's like, I'm driving to the AFC Championship. I'm the only guy, he's got this cut, and I have this incredible access. But then I've gotten to know Tom, gotten to know his wife, his kids, his parents, and there's a humility about Tom, a graciousness that did really blow me away and made me more I thought his achievements on the field, winning the 5 Super Bowls, et cetera, are more admirable because he's actually a human being and he's wrestling with all of these things and he's not sure where it's going to end. You know, so this idea we can debate 5 years, 2 years, well, I don't think he really knows. He said one thing a couple years ago and now people are like, oh my God, Tom, if he's not going to play 5 years, like I think he's thinking about it right now because he's a human being and he's not.
By the way,
100% sure.
Giselle has a moment in that last documentary where she says he wants to go to work and be appreciated. Isn't that largely saying he feels at times he's not?
Yeah, I think the last 2 years have been a struggle. You know, I think on and off the field, I think there's been a lot going on. And I think, you know, he says pretty soon after that, like, you got to find your conviction. And, you know, if you don't have it, then maybe it's time. And I think this is probably, again, a regular thing. He goes through the off season. We're only 5-6 weeks out. He's hanging out with his kids. Their kids are on spring break right now. He's finding that conviction, or he will find that conviction after he gets that mental space.
How much did Tom talk about Colin and I?
No question.
Most days, or just only in his?
He does
How
hear
many
the noise.
times a day, I guess, was the question. Yeah.
But he does hear the noise.
He hears the noise. I think, you know, it's never ending. I think in Boston in particular, you know, it's like a fishbowl. And again, it's not just Tom, it's Giselle. Like, she's higher profile than he is, you know? And so I think it motivates him. I do think, you know, whether it's specifically your show or someone else's show, I don't really know. But I think he hears, and he's a alpha athlete.
All right, welcome back. We're joined now by Super Bowl champ Will Blackman and the founder of the big league, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Tom Brady, who might have just gotten some more fuel added to his competitive fire. Today, ESPN released a list of the most dominant athletes of the last 20 years, naming Tiger Woods #1. Brady, meanwhile, was ranked 20th, behind the likes of Peyton Manning, the soccer player Marta, not the train, the soccer player Marta, and Mike Trout, among others. Cowherd, is it ridiculous for Brady to be ranked 20th?
Yeah, this list, it looks like it was a list created by somebody who didn't want to offend anybody. So they checked all the boxes. Let's get international people, and a tennis person, and a basketball person, and
Two auto racers.
two auto racers. It was a check the box
Or who wanted attention.
PC list, or it's clickbait. But I mean,
Who's
this.
the hot dog eater? The Yomahashi or whatever?
By the way,
Kobayashi.
okay, honestly, you're a sports writer, sportscaster. Lauren Jackson.
Is she related to Lauryn Hill? That's the only Lauren I know.
Michael
that's done anything
Phelps
of
is
note.
not on it?
It's this list is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
And it's almost like we're doing this topic just to take a dump on your former employer.
I'm out of here.
And look, it was my idea to do it, and I did want to take a dump on him because this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Tom Brady is either #1 or #2 on this list, the most dominant of the last 20
Do you think
years.
it's clickbait or PC?
I think it's PC, and I think it's stupidity in terms of they came up with a math equation of how to select these guys. And no one had the ability in the room to say, hey, this math equation is stupid. Because if Tom Brady's #20 and Michael Phelps isn't on the list, and there's no bigger Tiger Woods person in the media than me. I love Tiger Woods, love him. He's not #1. He went 5 years where he couldn't do anything. Has Brady ever had a 5-year drought? Has LeBron had a 5-year drought? Did Michael Phelps ever have a drought? And again, I love Tiger. He should be in the top 3.
Usain Bolt didn't lose for 18 of the 20 years.
I'm telling you. Listen,
Usain Bolt's #1 if they have a math
Shaq
equation.
and Kobe got 5 rings in the 2000s. They're not even on the list. They got Mike Trout, who has 0 playoff wins.
Mike Trout's played 6 years in baseball, basically.
6
I mean,
years.
that's it.
He's 17
6
years old, and he's on the list. Look,
Well, you guys know what this is, right? The magazine industry is a
Yeah.
dying industry. ESPN, the magazine, said, "Oh, we can time it. We can have Tiger Woods on the cover, just as the Masters is happening." Yes, there's our victory. It's gonna
That's not a
maybe
bad-
he'll win the Masters.
that's not a bad
Maybe
theory.
Tiger wins the Masters or finishes second. People sell newsstand copies, but we know this is silly. This list, I mean, come on.
You as a pro athlete,
As a pro athlete,
what do you see and roll your eyes
you know,
at?
for me, I'm not rolling my eyes, but what I do in favor of, I do like Peyton pretty high.
Okay.
I do like that.
Why?
Above
And
Tom Brady?
I do just because it's
Above Tom Brady. Did you
That's
say-
debatable, because it's a team sport still. Just based off of dominant athlete, Peyton had 5 MVPs in the 2000s.
Yeah.
That's just him.
I like
him.
Peyton
yeah,
on the
him.
list.
Yeah, he's
Him.
on the
I
list,
like him
definitely.
on the list high, but over Tom Brady, that's debatable too.
17 spots over
Right.
Brady.
2 of those MVP seasons, Tom Brady did win the Super Bowl. So head to head, I think
Tom Brady's number. Look, Will.
versus each other is 11-6. Tom.
Look, young man. You
Listen,
played football.
Listen, I'm seasoned.
Football is the hardest sport in America.
That's why I like Peyton.
The
high.
hardest position to play is quarterback. That is the premier position in sports. Tom Brady has dominated. Look, I'm an old school John Elway, Joe Montana guy.
Right.
But Tom Brady's resume speaks for itself.
It does, absolutely.
So if you play the number one sport and you're the most dominant at the toughest position in all the sports, you can't be 20.
But Jason, half the battle is getting people to talk about your list. And if Tom Brady's won, there's nothing to talk about. Oh, Tom Brady's the most dominant. Well,
No.
congratulations.
No.
Move on. It's not a topic. Nobody's blogging about it. It's not getting
Well, that's not
destroyed
what
on
Jason's
social
going.
media.
He's not saying topic-wise. He's just saying literally.
It's
just based off-
ridiculous.
yeah, basically
Yeah,
Tom
but
should be
that's
higher.
Will, that's just like NFL
Yeah.
mock draft season.
Yeah, no
okay?
question,
You
yeah.
can't put Sam Darnold at the top. You can't, because then nobody's like, oh, there's controversy. There's a lot of questions about it. You have to put Josh Allen at the top, right? And then people worked up about it. That's how these lists work, guys.
ESPN, the magazine, and I understand the magazine industry's in pain and it's hurting. And
put
the
it
print
mildly,
industry, and the
yeah.
print, but they can't become the big lead. They can't become
Big
a
League's
blog.
been successful for
I know,
11,
but
12 years
they
now.
can't be a blog, though. That's like, I get a blog doing clickbait. I get a blog, hey, look at me, look at this list we put out, and we've done something stupid. This magazine had a lot of credibility that I think, honestly, and I'm not overstating, this besmirches their
Mike
credibility
Trout
and damage.
didn't play for 14 of the last 20 years. He's ahead of Tom Brady.
You can't put Barry Bonds on this list and not put Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame.
We'll do that topic tomorrow.
To the Rams, whose busy offseason will continue today as they meet with free agent Ndamukong Suh, the once dominant lineman looking for a new team after getting cut with the Dolphins. He's expensive. The Rams have already signed 2 problem child defensive stars, Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters. They're also really good. And Suh's difficult reputation precedes him. Whitlock, bad fit for the Rams here?
I don't get it. I've seen, I don't get it.
I agree.
What don't you get?
Listen, Talib and Marcus Peters, they can play.
Absolutely.
Flat out play and help you win games. Ndamukong Suh has always been this great talent who doesn't make a difference anywhere he goes. I've never seen him make a real difference and impact. And so this is one of these deals where, like, Sean McVay is going to throw away all the credibility he built up last year, and Les Snead, all the credibility they built up. They put an excellent team out there, and now it looks like they're playing Madden franchise mode and signing big names.
You know player reputations, Will. Okay, I have this sourced that Ndamukong Suh in Miami, didn't want to practice, had to be talked into it by veteran players and coaches, was not a good teammate.
Okay.
Okay, if I know that, the Rams know that. So what's the point? They have Aaron Donald.
I feel like every coach feels like, or any GM may feel like they can save a player, or maybe I can get it out of them. So everyone will take a chance because of that talent. You know, I feel like, too, when it comes to character, they mentioned Marcus Peters, they mentioned Aqib Talib. My thing is, what is that? What is character? Is that maybe they're just misunderstood? You know what I mean? And people say they're a headache, this and that. Well, show me the arrest. There are no off-field issues. There are no whatever you want to call it. But they're on winning teams. You know what I'm saying? And they're getting it done.
Are you guys surprised the cornerback is defending a couple quarterbacks?
Listen, you got to.
Listen,
don't throw the flag.
Don't tell me Aqib Talib hasn't had problems off the field, okay? We know the Buffalo incident.
He has, yeah.
And Marcus Peters was a locker
room problem.
room
To the point
problem.
where it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Well, he still came back and balled and became a
Listen,
leader.
the Kansas City Chiefs called 31 teams in the league.
Right.
There were no takers, none for Marcus Peters. Nobody wanted him. They know that this guy's trouble in the locker room.
That sounds so familiar.
Dude, Peter King wrote
there
this
was a
story.
guy. There was a guy in 2006, I think it was, where nobody wanted him at all, and they just written him off. They thought he was trash. I think it was Charles Woodson, right?
That's a good point.
I think so. Yeah.
But let me ask you about Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying that now, but they weren't saying that then. They said, oh, he sits on his helmet, he goes out drinking, he goes to the clubs. He's, you know what? No one wants to be his teammate. So when he was a free agent, not even to trade him, he was a free agent, and not one team wanted to sign him. And they were like, hey, Green Bay. He said, I'm not going to Green Bay. Well, he's like, you don't have a choice. So he went to Green Bay and completely changed, everyone's outlook to what you're saying now. Now he's going to the Hall of Fame all of a sudden.
I
because
think
he
it's
balled out.
optimistic. And
Yeah.
maybe Peters will work out. But
Right.
Ndamukong Suh, we're forgetting.
Right.
Aaron Donald is the
Right.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Exactly.
He wants to get paid.
That's the
and
man,
now
and
you're going to
that's the
bring
man.
in Ndamukong Suh,
Right.
who's going to want the stats, the reps. I
I'll
think it's
throw
a
this
risky
out.
move by Sean McVay.
Let me throw this out there. We know this happens in sports, especially in the big markets. Listen, man, the Rams are now trying to sell PCLs. The Dodgers are good. Chip
PSLs,
Kelly's at
yeah.
UCLA. Lakers are rebuilding.
Right.
You got Trout with the Angels. You got another soccer team. Is this a PSL move? They're trying to sell him, Jason, right now in a competitive market.
I get it, but I just don't see Ndamukong Suh selling any
But
tickets.
what I'm saying is they're in the news again today.
No, I get it, but look, he had his second chance in Miami and did nothing.
I agree.
Nothing. And there's this theory, you put him next to Aaron Donald, and it's going to set Aaron Donald loose. I've seen this before, and this goes back, Will, you were probably just a baby at this point, 1998. The Kansas City Chiefs signed Chester McLaughlin, and my dumb self went all, because they had Derek Thomas,
Neil
they had
Smith.
all these guys, and I was like, Neil Smith was already in Denver then, but I was just like, Wayne Simmons, they had great corners, and the Chiefs gonna go 16-0. They had went 13-3 the year before, and they signed Chester McLaughlin and a couple other free agents, and they went 7-9, and Marty Schottenheimer got fired.
Dude, this
they
hap-
brought in a bunch of low-character guys that didn't want to play hard all the time, took plays off, and it was a disaster.
What happened in Seattle this past season? They bring in Sheldon Richardson from the Jets, who the Jets wanted nothing to do with. What happened in Seattle? Now, I know there were injuries, but they imploded. They missed the playoffs. You got to be careful with the locker room. Now, Will, you've been in locker rooms. You can speak to this. 3 problem children. Well, I'll call them that. Sean McVay's 32 years old. That's a lot of ego
That's
to
a good
handle.
point.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
just
point.
don't
Great point.
see what.
Great point.
Last year they snuck up on people, right? Goff was out of this world. They snuck up on people. This year, everybody knows they're a good team.
Right.
I think there's a lot of risk here going after Ndamukong.
That's why when McVay got the job, the main thing was he brought Wade with him. He essentially has another head coach on the team who knows how to handle personalities. He also, and within the staff, one of the assistant head coaches is Joe Barry, who was the defensive coordinator for the Redskins. So another adult, who knows how to handle big personalities and what have you. So I just feel like that was a strategic move on his part for that to happen. So that's why they're more comfortable. Once again, it's just a meeting. They just had a meeting with Suh, and maybe they're digging and trying to figure out exactly what it is. I see it, if Suh does come along, him being not the guy, maybe that will bring out the talent that everybody sees and that dominant factor. So just to be next to him, maybe him and Aaron Donald are talking like, yo, like listen up, we can
I
get
love your
something done here.
optimism.
Welcome back, Chris Broussard, Kenyon Martin are here. Let's return to Cleveland, where the Cavs beat the Bucks last night. Did you watch that thing? They looked good. LeBron dropped a 40-point triple-double on the Greek Freak. Greek Freak played well, too. Kevin Love returning from an injury with a really nice game, 18.7 boards, barely played 25 minutes. Afterward, LeBron talked about how important it is to have Kevin Love back on the floor.
I mean, first of all, just having another body, it's great for our team. And then just his basketball IQ, his familiarity with our system, what we know. He just fits right back in, and then his ability to stretch the floor, allows a lot of opposing bigs not to just sit in the paint and clog up the paint. So it's great to have him back.
I feel fine. 7 weeks, my rhythm's a little bit off. Actually, my wind felt better than I thought it would. It was an easy transition for me to come back, and more than anything, I felt good out there. I felt like my legs were underneath me.
All right, Whitlock, they look good. Lock to win the East.
I'm not going to overreact the way I did when the Cavs did after the trade deadline, and I went nuts. They look better with Kevin Love out there. I'm going to withhold judgment. They got a big game against Toronto on Wednesday. I want to see that. At this moment of push, I would bet on Toronto to win the East. I really like Toronto. I've come to appreciate Dwayne Casey and what he does as a coach. I just think Toronto has chemistry, a system, a coaching situation that's completely settled. At this moment, I gotta believe Toronto. Tyronn Lue's not even there right now. The Cavs haven't had the same players on the court for enough consecutive games for me to have a clear judgment on them. I like Toronto.
It's a weird year. We've looked at the Cavs and we've seen the dysfunction. But let me make an argument that it actually is a great year for the Cavs.
You're going to open with the Sixers, virtually no playoff experience. Your best player, Embiid, plays 30 minutes a night. LeBron plays 44. Okay. Then if you went to Boston, Gordon Hayward's injured. You're going to rely heavily on Jason Tatum. Again, lack of experience. Toronto, as a number 1 seed, they're supposed to win. This has not been a franchise that wins big games. We've watched the Cavs drama. I got to tell you, I got the world's best player. Kevin Love now gets to be a 2, where I think Jordan Clarkson can now become more of a role player. Jeff Green. I think everybody lines up perfectly for Cleveland now in this offense.
Yeah, I'm like 85% Cleveland. And I'm just trusting that LeBron is going to ratchet it up. We saw it last year. They played about 500 basketball from January onward. They lost 7 of their last 11. Didn't look good going into the playoffs. Playoffs start, and he's toying with these other teams in the East. I think that's what he'll do this year. Once he picks it up defensively, I think those young kids will do the same, and they have the athleticism to be good defenders. So I still have Cleveland big time in the East. I think Toronto's the only team that can challenge them.
Did you say you picked Toronto to win the East?
Yeah, I
But
like
regular season?
right now.
Regular season title?
No. In the postseason, I think they're going to represent the East in the final. If I had to pick right now, look, they have continuity. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been a mess the entire season.
That was true.
They've been a mess. They've been a mess the last few seasons during the regular season, and still made it to the finals because LeBron James plays in the East. Like, he tilts the scale no matter who they play against in the East. They know that if he like he stated, if I come into your building game 1, it's going to be challenging for you, which I agree. If they start on the road or at home in the first round, game 1, whatever playoff series in, he always shows up and let the other team know this is what it's going to be. And I don't see anything different this year.
Here's the thing. LeBron's been great individually all season. Something like on the offensive end, some people are most efficient LeBron
Rebound,
ever.
assist, most efficient ever.
And so, and look at their record. So LeBron's been dominant during the regular season, and it hasn't been resulting in as many wins as we think. And so and maybe, look, 5-6 years ago, a couple years ago, I do think there's this gear LeBron could go through in the postseason, but it's like, damn, he's showing us that gear right now during the regular season.
I think it's Ross at the beginning of the season had a lot to do with the win total that they have right now. You know, I think they had a bunch of guys that wasn't all the way in, totally bought in. Derrick Rose situation, Dwayne Wade situation, Kevin Fry. You got Channing Fry. You got guys in there that questionable. Now you bring Young Hood in, Clarkson, Nance, and those guys. They like, we get to play with LeBron James, I'm going to run through a wall. You know what I'm saying? So they going to do whatever they can and their will to go out and make sure this guy's happy, no matter what he asks of them. And I think that's where they at right now, moving forward, that at the right time, they're going to start playing better last March, April, then, hey.
I think, as you also said, he's been doing it offensively, but not yet defensively. And once he picks up, I think they're great there. And then even offensively, I think LeBron is experimenting. Like, he's so good. You see he's dominating the game any way he wants. I think he's trying to figure things out, even if it means losing a possession or even losing a game. Yeah. But let me see what this guy can do. Let me see what that guy can do. And I think playoff time, he won't do that.
But, Chris, you had been the guy that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that he may not be the same guy defensively. He may not be able to do that anymore.
I don't think he can do it 82 games a year, clearly. But recently, like at the end of the Portland game, they lost, but you notice who he was guarding at the end of the game. Damian Lillard. You didn't see that early in the year. Right. Last night, he was guarding some of the better players. I saw him guard Jusuf Nurkic in that game against Portland, too. Like, he's starting to take the challenge of guarding the better players at the end of the game. He knows he can't do it. He might not even be able to do it for 40 minutes a night. But in the fourth quarter, he'll make up his mind to go get the guy he's got to stop.
Spot duty, like you said, fourth quarter at times, but it's
Warriors have lost 4 of 6. They lost 4 of 6 at this time last year. We get fooled by really high-end players. This is a kind of a dog days of NBA where if the seed is set, some teams tanking. Like, I agree with you. I think Kevin Love and LeBron are in a perfect spot. Both realize what they are. I felt for the last couple years, Love was like Bosch in Miami at the end. He was tolerating the situation. Kevin now walks into an arena, drives there thinking, I'm going to get my looks tonight. Happy Kevin Love is a good Cavs team.
I would also say LeBron has to be motivated right now because when he looks, look, we know that he's wondered, man, can we beat Golden State? Yeah. They look invincible. Well, now they look vulnerable. I mean, the injuries, let's see if that's real. He can't be afraid. If Houston beats them, he shouldn't be afraid of Houston. Yeah. You know, he should be looking at this like, I can really get one because Golden State's banged up. You never know when Steph Curry's ankle's going to go again. Durant with the ribs, he's been injury prone at times in his career. Like LeBron should be extra motivated come postseason.
All right, welcome back. Time for last call. Let's move to college basketball, where Oklahoma's Trae Young has announced he will enter the NBA draft. Early in the season, Young was drawing comparisons to Steph Curry before cooling off as the season wore on. Cowherd, do you think the light-skinned Jimmer Fredette will actually be success in the NBA?
Yeah, he's an NBA player. He's not going to be Steph, but he's an NBA player. I mean, listen, he had a ton of assists. He can score. He's good with the ball. Now, the one thing about Jimmer is Jimmer couldn't guard a bar stool. So in the NBA, you've got to have some physical presence on the defensive end. I don't think he's ever going to scare anybody defensively.
I was joking. I think he'll be successful. The young kid that I'm a little skeptical of is the Colin Sexton, the point guard out of Alabama.
Yeah.
But I think Trae Young will be fine. All right, let's move to Jordan Clarkson, who apparently feels comfortable enough in his new surroundings with the Cavs to reveal his innermost thoughts, including the belief that dinosaurs were just the pets of giant humans back in the day. Cowherd, you buying this?
Well, wouldn't we have bones of giant humans? Wouldn't we discover those?
Well, maybe we have discovered those bones and have mistaken them for dinosaurs. These young kids make so much money that they got their theories on dinosaurs. They think the earth is flat. I think what this is, too many guys are watching Game of Thrones. The wildlings have giant humans or dragons that fly and spit fire.
Kyrie Irving's quote on dinosaurs, quote, they find one bone and then make up 98% of it digitally. What, you believe that?
It's a possibility, maybe. I don't.
I went to the Dinosaur Museum on the campus of Yale. I used to live in Connecticut. There were dinosaurs. They didn't have a giant human anywhere in the exhibit.
Maybe this will be a new line in the next Jurassic Park. You know, the original Jurassic Park I love. The rest of them have been
It's a plot.
dog meat.
This is just
Maybe
a
it's
plot for a new movie.
Giant humans, dinosaurs as pets.
We'll see you tomorrow.